I'm Justin Davis, and this is Drone Camps RC.
What's up, guys? Welcome back to the Drone Camps channel. Today, we're just kind of like hanging out, and I wanted to show you something new and also just talk about it a little bit. We're going to put it on the bench. We're going to talk about some of the components you might want to put on this frame, and just show you another product from Nvision. And not super formal today. We're just kind of shooting from the hip, sort of vlog style a little bit with you guys. Nvision came out a while back with the junior trainer that you saw on the channel. It's kind of like a multi-GP little trainer quad to help get new guys into the hobby. And today it's a little bit about DIY on the channel. So we're going to talk about the Nvision Gyarados. And Gyarados, if you know Pokemon, is one bad dude. So the Gyarados in Pokemon pretty much destroys anything that he comes in contact with, and he doesn't stop until it's completely destroyed. And so with that in mind, what we have here is most likely going to be an absolute ripper as far as freestyle goes. So if you're looking for like an ultra lightweight sort of toothpick style 5-inch frame, this would be a lot of fun to build. And I'm going to show you some motors and a flight controller that will go along with this frame and be super epic if you want to build one yourself. So we'll kind of piece together some things. We'll check out the frame thickness and the frame weight and all that stuff. If you're trying to keep things under 250 grams. I will find out if that's possible with this frame. If you do a super light analog setup, or you decase a Caddx Vista, however you want to do it, this would be a pretty cool quad to build. And we're also going to talk about the right props, the ultralight 5-inch props to use with the Gyarados frame. So hey, let's get this party started. Let's go ahead and put this on the bench, and I'll show you what comes in the box. It's actually quite impressive how they've laid everything out in here for you, and they kind of went the extra mile, I think, with the packaging and the idea and the concept and everything. So let's go ahead now and put it on the bench and have some fun with the Gyarados. Here we go. All right, so first of all, this frame is, I think it's like $30, which is actually a damn good deal. It looks like it was in collaboration with Aerospace Shenzhou, how do you say that? And POWDER FPV. So big props out to him or her. I'm assuming it's a him. So many guys in our hobby, it's crazy. We have some other Chinese up there in the top right hand corner. I'm guessing that it probably says the name of the quad, which is the Gyarados. But let's go ahead and open up the box. And like, I was pretty happy with the display of the quad parts and pieces inside the box. Once I opened it up, I'm like, wow, this is cool. So we have this TPU top plate here, antenna post in the very back, so you run your antenna up through there, and you'll have it seated just in here. Camera comes out the front here with 2 sidewall mounts, and it looks like there's possibly 2 positions there. You might be able to squeeze the bolt through that front part, but it looks like it's set up kind of for any type of micro cam. And we're probably looking at putting a DJI Caddx Vista on there with some Nebula Pro or something like that, which would be pretty cool. And it does look like it has room in here inside this stack for any type of DJI or analog transmitter in the very back there. So plenty of room there. But that's nice that it's already done and printed out, and you don't have to do it yourself. It's all ready to go. This is a flight controller spacer. If you want to add some bit of dampening in between the frame, in the center of the frame, this is a 3-point attachment for that. So the stack is actually going to be on a 45-degree angle. So I'll show you that in a second. But here are the arms. They kind of have this like devil horn thing going on at the very end. And these are just usually to protect the edge of the motors when you go in for a frontal crash or any different side. But these look pretty beastie, so let me just go ahead and throw the calipers on these and check out how thick these are. I'm looking at them, they look like 5 to 6 mil. They're pretty big. So yeah, right at 5 millimeter. Nice. And you know, for an ultralight, I would expect maybe these were maybe 3 or 4, but these are going to be extra durable if you're doing freestyle with these. So most of you guys are going to be doing freestyle with this type of frame, but check this out. These are the bottom plates, and this frame actually has 3 different sandwich sections for the bottom plate, and then this is the very top, this being the very bottom, and this is the middle piece. So it goes on, I believe it was like this, and all the bolts go through this direction, and then your strap goes through these 2 side plates here. So bottom mount battery, and then this is the front, and this is the back. And all that sandwiches together with the hardware that's in this little panel down here. 2 straps in the box. Looked like Banggood had 4 on the picture, but tons of hardware for going all the way through your stack if you're going to use a taller stack with a VTX on top. We also have some sort of recessed steel nut there for the very top, and that will go through these larger parts of the frame. And I'll put it together here in a second. We'll go ahead and put it together. But I'm going to suggest some recommended parts real quick for you guys as well. And by the way, you also get these antenna posts that come out the back here as well. You have 2 antenna post options if you're using something like an XM Plus. Those would look pretty cool sticking out the top and the bottom there. Usually they come out from the side. So that's kind of cool they did that. We also have some anodized aluminum spacers for your flight controller and some extra grommets for dampening. So that's really nice as well. So depending on how the frame goes together, I'll let you know if those are used in the frame, but usually they're used in between stack for the flight controller and the ESC. So my first recommendation for this setup, guys, is going to be the Beta FPV 2004 motors. They're 1700 kV. They can run on 4 and 6S. So yeah, these would be super lightweight motors, but also really powerful. And these motors are specifically made for these ultralight 5-inch props that I've been flying from HQ here. So these are the HQ 5x2s, and these are a low pitch prop, which will also extend your flight time. We talked about this before. You can get a little higher degree of pitch if you want to do just hardcore freestyle, but if you want to put crossfire on this one and kind of make it like a mountain surfer, this would be the optimum setup for getting the best battery time and distance out of your quad. So you could probably mount a GPS back here somewhere if you wanted to on the very top, like an M8 GPS would fit right there if that's what you wanted to do. And then these motor wires are super thin, and they should make it all the way to the center of the stack here. And I'll just show you this motor close up. Really nice low profile motor. Super smooth looking bell. 2004, 1700. 6S baby, let's go. Ultralight 6S. And they make some really lightweight 6S batteries now. They make even like 6S 450s. I have a few from our friends over at Allline and GMB. And Tattoo, I believe Tattoo's starting to make some lighter weight 6S batteries for you guys, but you should be able to get an upwards of 8 minutes flight time with this type of setup that I'm showing you here. So the flight controller and ESC combo that I'm really wanting to put on my Gyarados is the 20 amp F4 from Gap RC, and this flight controller ESC combo won't work with all types of 5-inch out there, but these motor wires are thin enough that they're going to work with these motor tabs here. So these are the motor tabs, and they're labeled all the way around. So motor 1, 2, 3, and 4. And the cool thing about this flight controller is that this stack, the way it's set up, it's already on a 45. So this is perfect for this particular frame. And when I put it into beta flight, hopefully it'll be set up the right way. So that'll actually go like this. This will be forward. You got the Gap RC logo there, and this is the front and the back, just like that. So we'll have to see how easy it is to get to that. I might have to rotate it one time and put it out here, but we'll see where that USB port sits the best. And that's an Android style USB port, but 20 amp ESCs on this. You can fly at 4S. I wouldn't recommend 6S on this, but I'm just going to fly mine on 4S with an XT30 setup for this particular quad. All right, guys, so let's go ahead and let's put this quad together, and let's go through this process. If you've never built up a quad, this is kind of cool to watch, and it'll give you a little idea of sort of how all this hardware works together. If you've never seen some of this hardware before, I try to bring this to you from the total beginner level. This will be a lot of fun to watch. It will teach you about fastener. We have different types of nuts. These are M3 fastening nuts, and you'll notice that one side is flat and the other side has sort of a little grooved divot right around the bottom part, and that usually slides down into a slot on the top of the frame, and then it screws in from the bottom. So that bottom bolt will come up just like that. And what I like to do when I'm first getting started, guys, is I like to take all my hardware out of the bag. The bag looks pretty intimidating, so it's kind of hard to find things in a plastic bag, a little tiny Ziploc. So go ahead and just lay everything out. Make sure that you pay attention from one length to the next, because sometimes the screws almost look like they're the same length, but they're not. So like this would be like something like maybe a 6 or a 7 millimeter length with an M3 fastener top on it, and this one is also around the 8 millimeter length. So we're going to use the longer screws today to go up through these 4 posts on the outside, and then we're going to do 4 right in the middle. So go ahead and grab your bottom plate here, flip that over, and grab one of these sort of aluminum anodized purple lock nuts, and go ahead and screw that one all the way down, but leave a little bit of space there when you're doing that so that we can adjust things. So when you're putting the arms on a quad, on the base of a quad, a lot of times I don't tighten things up right away so that I have wiggle room to get the other arms on there. It's going to be impossible if you tighten things down to get the other arm in the sandwich, so to speak. So one other thing before we really get started in putting this all together, I want to let you know that there is a blown out schematic of how things go together, and all these screws are labeled on the Banggood website on the GARADOS page. So you scroll down about halfway, you'll see that exploded view, and I'll try to put that up on the screen a few times during this video so you can go back and look. But we're going to start with this bottom plate, and it looks like the strap's not going to go through there. It's going to go side to side like this, and your battery will be under here, or actually front to back like this. But you could choose to mount it however you want, really, honestly, with that option. So this little anodized purple deal here, it's going to let us actually have a little bit of room in between this plate and the next plate up so that we can get the strap through. So that's what these anodized aluminum metal parts are for, and they just look kind of cool. Nice purple on the bottom here. It's a little kind of an accent, looks kind of nice. So I'm going to leave a little space there. I'm going to grab my next one, and these are the longest ones. The screws that go on, the 4 that go on the outside, they are the, what size were those? Those were M3 by 18 socket head cap screws. And it doesn't matter which way these purple lock nuts go on, we're just going to keep screwing those down. And on the blown out schematic, and it doesn't actually show us the caps going on the outside, but in the picture it shows them. So sometimes things can be mislabeled. You know, it happens sometimes on like Chinese schematics. They forget to add something in there. The graphic designer was in a little bit of a hurry, maybe because he had 20 other things to do that day, or by lunchtime. You know how it is. Most of your jobs are kind of like that, so I'm usually crunching several things at a time. So now we have that like that, and we're going to take this plate and we're going to lay that right over top. Actually, it's going to be front to back like this. So now this is looking at it from the side. Oh, it's going to spin like this. Okay, so this would be the back and this would be the front. Okay, back and the front. Cool. It's been a while since we did kind of a construction sort of semi-build video with you guys. It's kind of fun. So the next screws that you need are going to be the I believe they're the let's just look on the schematic here. They're the M3 by 12s. So those are not as long as these, they're a little bit shorter. So hopefully I've got the right screws here, and it's the next size up here. And I got some of those mixed up. Just make sure you don't mix up your bolts like I just did. So. These are just a little bit longer than these. So these are maybe 4 1/4 M3x10. Yeah, so these 4 right here will go through this part down into the frame, into the carbon frame. So now I've got these, just going to drop these in. Again, these are the M3x12s in the center. Yeah, right straight through like that. Drop those all in there. Just try to hold things down. Maybe put my finger right in the middle. And now I'm ready to put an arm on there. So at this point, we're going to drop in an arm here. And I wonder if I could do all 4 of these at once here, if I get lucky. All you need to really do is keep your finger on these 4 in the center, because we already put these anodized lock nuts here. So we're going to grab another one here. And it doesn't matter which way they're facing, but you just have to have it over the bolt, yeah? Just like that. So actually, maybe it does matter which way they're facing. It's not wanting to line up properly. So we're going to have to flip these around. Even though they look like they're all the same, they're facing just a little different directions here. So we're going to just try to get that lined up. One of those is going to fall out. And sometimes when I'm doing this, I'll do it from the side so that the bolts don't fall out while I'm trying to do all this with one hand. So we'll just try it a few times there and see which way it goes. So that's looking pretty symmetrical. Okay, and now we're going to grab this one and come in from the top here. That looks good, yeah. Okay, and I'm going to hold my finger on those bottom 4 still. Now the last arm in here, try to make sure I hold that because all these bolts are trying to fall out on me. Okay, so this is the last one here. It doesn't go like that. Flip it around, it goes that way. So now I'm ready to drop on this very top plate, but we're going to make sure that this is facing the right direction here, and it is a wide X frame, so it goes out like this, yeah, and it's kind of a squashed X. So now this is the rear, and we're going to come right over top of all that, just like that. So now all we got to do is drop these on top of each bolt. So I'm just going to drop this on here. I'm going to start out on the outside right there. So we're just going to put some pressure on that bolt, and let's bring a driver in here. So you're going to start cranking this down. And we're not going to do it all the way tight just yet, because we want to be able to wiggle things around a little bit. And what I might go ahead and do is do some of these center bolts so I don't have to keep holding those. And hopefully those are the right length. If they're too long, pull them out and use the shorter version of the screw. They should just be flush with what you're doing here. So the tricky thing about this frame is that these are threaded and so are these. So if you tighten this bottom one up too much, then you can't get it through to the very top bolt. So I'm still able to move things around here. Don't tighten it up too much, so I got to loosen that one up. Thought I had enough pressure to move it, so we don't want things to be off center. So take your time and do this properly the first time, so things aren't stressed. If you do it out of sync with like one bolt's putting a little too much pressure on one side, then sometimes when you have a crash, like things can snap at that point. So make sure that your screws are nice and center. This one doesn't look centered at all. I might just have to, that bolt's not all the way through there properly. So we're just gonna screw that one in so it does come center. And sometimes these frames are just machined a little funny, so we're just gonna see how that works out. I'm just gonna screw it in there, and it should just drop right into position, which it did. And it should be fine. So now this one, I'll bring this one down here. Pretty cool. This frame is looking super, super cool. We have that gap down there that I was telling you about for our strap, our battery strap. I'm just gonna grab another one here and keep going. So what are you guys up to? Are you guys building stuff right now? What are you building? What's your current frame? I know there's a lot of people building in our hobby and always creating something new to fly. cool side of our hobby, the DIY side. And when we put this top plate on there, we've pretty much done like 90% of the frame construction at this point, because this is mostly bottom plate, but this is looking pretty beastie. Look at that. This is a pretty beastie frame for an ultralight. It looks like it's going to be super durable. Like if I was to design this myself, I would make things like a little thinner, but I don't crash a whole lot. Maybe I should fly harder, because I'm not crashing much. They say if you're not crashing, you're not learning, you're not pushing, progressing. But I'm usually taking chances. You guys watch my reviews, you know what's up. You guys know I try to take crazy chances with brand new quads. That's looking pretty good. So we've got our gap down there. We've got it the right direction here, front to back. Actually, this is the back here. And now this just goes right over top of here. And you still have, what's really, really rad about this frame is I forgot to do something. I forgot to put the bolts through to our TPU flight controller spacer, and that's sitting around here somewhere. It has to go right on top right here, and it only has 3 bolts right here, but look what they did. So I'm going to flip this over. They made these grooves here in the frame for you to be able to get your driver in there. So you can get your driver there, there, and there. So the frame is grooved out right here. That's pretty smart engineering. And in the front here too. So those are actually grooved out of each arm, and in the rear too, if you needed to get to that rear post. If you're going to put 4 bolts through there for that 20 by 20 stack. How cool is that? So I'm not going to do that right now, but we're going to go ahead and put this top plate on just to show you what this all looks like together. That's looking pretty cool. And the bolts that work to go through there work also with, it says they work with a press nut, so it doesn't look like I have any press nuts left, or fastening nut. The fastening nuts are these nuts right here. So what I might have to do is actually use one of these. This is a fastening nut, so this is a lock nut, and I can do that because these are M3 threaded. So I'm going to go ahead and start this through this back part right here. We're just going to push that through just like that, and if it's not going through, just try to bore through with your driver and just clear that out from the 3D printing. And it should be going through here pretty tight. You don't want a lot of slack in this. There's a little bit of material in there, so I'm just going to push through that. And now I'm going to do the next one. This is a fun process, kind of therapeutic. I'm never in a big hurry when I'm doing my builds. I really try to kind of just take my time and stop and look at things, and then like think about how it could be better, or how the wires could look neater or cleaner. I'm rarely ever in a big hurry when I'm building stuff. Now at this point you really could use a pair of needle nose pliers, which I don't have any sitting here right now, but we're just going to go ahead and try to slide this down onto the frame, and your stack will go just in there. Look at that. That's looking pretty cool. So I'm just going to hold this here with my thumb and see if I can get it started. Might have to come in there and hold it with thumb and my index finger. Yep, it's working out. So that'll work for now until I get my needle nose pliers. And this is just a quick build video for you if you bought this frame or you're thinking about buying it and building one up for yourself. And I had this frame for about a week. It's been sitting here and I've been meaning to put this together for you guys and just do a laid back frame video. It's been a while since I did one of these. They're kind of fun. There's no pressure in these videos. There we go. That next one, and man, that's looking cool. That's looking super cool. I'm even going to tighten the rest of those down. So we've got everything on here, and some of the other information I got to tell you about this frame is that number one, it looks really cool. Number two, if you decide to buy motors for this frame, and this is big information, the holes on here don't fit M3 bolts, and I don't have any more, but I can show you an M2 bolt. So you got to have an M2 bolt for the motors. So whatever motors you buy, you decide to buy, look at that, it's an M2 motor bolt. So this is meant to use ultralight motors. You know, you could use some 1408s on this, the 2001 motors that I showed you before. I think that's the ones to get. So these motors right here will be absolutely awesome with this frame. I believe these are 2001, 2004, 1700. I mean, those are some sexy 6S motors. Look at that. Lower the kV, under 2000 kV is what you want for 6S, but this would be an absolute beast with those 6S motors. Look at that. Those wires go right down in there to your stack. And this is going to be a really cool build. So I would put an AIO stack in this if I were you, just to keep things simple. All your ESCs and everything all into one board, flight controller, everything. And then you have more room for putting in your VTX and things. All right, guys, I just kind of jumped forward here a little bit, and I wanted to show you kind of what these motors look like on this frame. They match really nicely. So if you're looking to match up this blue to your motors, there you go. That looks pretty good. So I also added on that TPU protection plate for your flight controller in between these 4 bolts right here. You do not want your ESCs touching these 4 bottom bolts right here, or any board that's currently has voltage in it. So this is something you want to install. Now, one of the other things is I only added the small screws through there just for display purposes. They do give you longer M2 hardware, so put these longer screws up through there, and what you can do is when you get to the height that you need, you can snip them off if you need to. But they also give you the extra length if you decide to mount a VTX above your AIO stack or your ESCs and your flight controller. So you will have an extra bit of room up there to be able to do that. So I wish they kind of had a little more forward room here, maybe about as much as that, but it does keep everything kind of super low profile there. So I kind of get what they were doing, but it's nice that they gave us a board to put in between this layer of steel below there and the carbon. You don't want any of this stuff touching carbon because you get an automatic short out of that. But these motors look like the right ones for this build, guys, and I think this would be a super epic build for you to do. So hopefully you're enjoying today's video, and just kind of a break from the flying reviews for today, and just kind of hanging out on the bench to check out this Gyarados quad. And it looks like it is going to be a total ripper. And I like how they have the antenna post coming out the back here, sort of vertical display. That's pretty cool. This should work out great. And on 6S, you want to fly this on a battery, something like a 6S 850 milliamp or 1050 milliamp. So once we put the props on here, I'll just put those on there for you real quick, show you how those look. We're gonna have a really beautiful quad here. So we're just thinking right turn rear here. So the traditional prop configuration. Motor number 1 is going to be right turn, 2 left turn. Motor number 3 left turn. Actually, these are wrong. Let's see. Let's take that back off. This is a right turn prop, so that goes diagonally across from the rear motor. And you're going to check this in beta flight when you do your build. And that is how she will look, pretty much how she will look. She's going to look super awesome once I have the camera and everything in there. But I will put some links down below for you guys for the recommended motors, the flight controller stack I would use with this frame, these HQ props, which are super awesome. They're 5x2s, and they're meant for this style motors. These are the ultra light props. So these are the ones you want to go for. They will be perfect with this frame. So send it, you guys, and let me know how your build goes. Post a link down below of your flying video, if you built one of these guys, and I would love to see your build and how it's flying. But you can grab one at the link down below. It's around, I believe it's $30 to $35 for this frame kit, and I'll put the extra parts and components down there as well, as always. But thanks for supporting the channel and hanging out, guys, and flying with me each day on the Drone Camps channel. Such a cool frame. I'm glad they sent me this one. I want to say thanks to Nvision for doing that and let me do this build video with you guys. So anyway, guys, again, thanks for hanging out. I'm Justin Davis. Check out my Patreon if you want. Hop on there, and also check out our Facebook page. It's Drone Camps FPV Community. There is a link down at the bottom in the video description, and there's about close to 1,500 people in there now. It's kind of a smaller group, but it's very chill. People post videos and comments and ask questions in there, and you can have fun there without any type of people being rude to you for asking a question. So very friendly group. The Drone Camps groups are super, super friendly as always. But take care, guys, and I hope you're surviving this COVID winter and staying happy, and hopefully a good build will get you some happy time indoors, and also when the snow melts, some fun flying. So I appreciate you hanging out, guys. I'm Justin Davis. I'll see you on the next one. Take care.